Bordello, I know, my co-host over here, Jackie, is a huge fan. I am Marissa, I am from the Jersey Ghouls, that is my co-host, Jackie. And I'm going to give the mic very quickly to these lovely, talented ladies from the Douglas School and the Tom Savini Makeup Effects Academy. So just introduce yourselves, say hi, and then we won't bother you anymore, don't worry.
I'm Kevin, I go to Douglas Education Center. I'm a third semester.
Nice, okay.
I'm Brooke, I also go to Douglas, I'm also a third semester.
I'm Allie, I'm a grad, and now I work there as well.
All right, so I was told I'm not allowed to ask you too many questions, but for now, okay. Okay, so do you want to just kind of introduce the character and what we're doing here real quick for me?
Sure. This would maybe be a little different than what we would do in the movie, but basically they've already applied a bald cap, because actually you have hair. And what they're going to do is start applying one piece, appliance, 12 latex appliance, and then somebody will be coloring the body at the same time. And this, of course, would be a lot quicker process, obviously, like I said, than in a movie. So they're going to just get started, right? Okay. Okay, sounds good. So I'm going to go down under.
All right, sounds good. So I'm going to, if that's okay, I'm going to pick on you here. Just, yeah, I am picking on you, yeah, I am. So let's start out, I'm going to ask you, so what led you to this career path, I guess, and what do you think is the best thing about doing special effects and makeup?
Gee, that's such a loaded question.
Oh, I'm so I get yelled at all day for my questions, I'm so sorry.
Well, I mean, that's kind of a two-part question also. So as far as like what led me to it, it really was working at conventions, and fun story, I worked with Walt like years ago, just kind of helped him out at his table or whatever, met Tom, and then it just sort of blossomed from there and ended up going to the school. And then as far as my favorite part, probably doing stuff like this, like transformations. Like you can see in this one thing and you're like, no way, that's the dude I was just talking to all the way.
Now, Walt, we're going to be able to get photos with Dr. Satan in just a little bit, right? Yeah. So ladies and gentlemen, when we are done here, if you are interested in a photo with and any other chit-chat with Dr. Satan, you can definitely check it out. We're going back to the main hall for that, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So, I'm going to actually pass the mic to my co-host here, because I got to be honest with you, I'm a behind-the-scenes person, but not necessarily a makeup guru, so I'm going to let her do all the talking.
All the talking like as if I'm a makeup guru. I am a makeup super fan. I know for me, personally, half the movies that I love in my collection are because of the special effects makeup, because of the prosthetics and the gore, and that's the things that I gravitate towards too. So like, I'm not gonna lie, like I'm sitting here watching right along with the rest of you guys, because this process, for me, I am extremely amateur when it comes to this kind of makeup. I've done maybe a latex prosthetic here and there. I'm a big fan of Elmer's glue and cotton balls at Halloween and ripping my throat and things like that. And I can only assume, I don't want to bug them, but that's probably kind of where a lot of people start. You do kind of the homebrew before you get to actually go to school for this. How long, if you guys could answer, how long have you, before you started to go to school, I'm assuming you were at home, again, kind of like me, cotton balls and glue and making your own gelatin to do prosthetics and things?
Oh yeah, I started off with Elmer's glue and toilet paper.
Yeah.
In like October of 2016 maybe, and then Christmas my parents got me all like the latex and stuff, and I started really getting into it. And then actually House of Thousand Corpses really got me into special effects.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's my favorite movie. It's
So, if I could kind of just put a microphone in one of your faces right now, I'd like for you to just kind of tell us about the process of putting on this Dr. Satan face.
So we use a foam latex prosthetic, which is basically what it sounds like. It's just foam and latex. And you have to use, it's a medical adhesive, it's called Prozane, and we put it on his bald cap, and on the appliance we wait till it gets tacky and just sits it down.
Does that like hurt? Walt?
No, not at all.
Oh, not at all, he says. Ladies and gentlemen, please, if you have a question for our special effects and makeup team, please come up, including Walt. to the microphone over here, and we will get to you all if anybody has anything they want to add or talk about or say as we go through this transformation process.
Okay, so at this point, they're adhering. They are blending. I'm assuming we're blending the edges.
It's more to show like all the deeper parts of like where blood would flow through. I'm gonna go in with white then to make it blend into the skin and all that.
It's very similar to what we did when we pre-painted this piece. I know some of you who were out there kind of watching us work on that. But so we go through with a deeper color, like a purple or a red, like she said, to show like the blood underneath the skin, and that's just called underpainting.
So what after this application is done, what comes next in the process?
After we get his face on and I'll blend it out and everything, and all the edges laid down, we will paint the bald cap and then use, we call it Pax paint. It's just acrylic paint mixed with Crozade, which is the same adhesive we use to put it down. We put a layer of that down and then we can just paint on top of it.
How hard is all this to get off?
It takes a pretty heavy duty makeup remover, but if you have the right stuff, it comes off fairly easy. Yeah, that's rough.
All right, we have anybody asking questions? No? Oh, all right.
Yeah, don't. I can speak from experience. Don't rip latex off. Don't try to rip gum spirit. Or you gotta get the spirit gum. Yeah. Yeah. There.
Mostly Crozade, and there's a adhesive called Telesis,
Telesis?
which is another kind of medical grade adhesive, yeah.
You tell us about Telesis.
I mean, that's pretty much it. It's just another medical piece.
They're nicer to use than like spirit gum because it's less likely to somebody's less likely to be allergic to it since it's medical grade.
What tips would you guys give? Like, I know there's got to be a couple people out in the audience who are just aspiring either to one day maybe attend someplace like this, to Tom Savini School or Douglas, or maybe even just kind of get into it on their own. Besides just kind of going out and trying it, is there anything you'd be like, do this? What's the secret to like jumping into the deep end of effects?
Don't be afraid to suck.
I excel at that, ironically.
Yeah,
So.
Don't be afraid of criticism, because I mean you get it a lot, and it's like it makes you a lot better. Because I know when I get criticized for like, I don't even think it's criticized. I think it's helpful, because like somebody could tell me that my stuff needs work and it needs to be fixed. It doesn't look right. I'll be like, okay, it's making me better at what I'm doing. Because I know in my first semester I didn't follow anything anatomically. Like I just did it, and they were like, "That's not right. You need to follow." That's what we do.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's like any art. You got to keep practicing. You know. And I see we have a question.
Yes, thank you.
Right on up.
Hi, I'm just curious about what the program is like for the schooling that you guys go through. So obviously I've seen lots of special effects, and I also went through, a higher education system, and so I'm just curious what kind of classes you guys have to take, and what sort of techniques you learn, and what's like the metric? Do you guys have exams, or when do you graduate?
That's an awesome question. I'm gonna pass the mic around here.
So basically, it's a 16-month program, and then you get an associate's at the end of it. It's associates in specialized business, and you in your first semester you'll kind of learn all of the basics. So you'll learn your out-of-kit makeups, which is basically just anything that you can just show up and not have a pre-made piece. You can do cotton latex, you can do gelatin, you can just do bruises, that kind of stuff. You also learn like the history of makeup and period makeups, and then you take your gen ed classes, which are anatomy and anthropology. And every semester you have a gen ed class, which is what technically gives you the associate's degree. And then you don't really have like any kind of testing. You have to write essays sometimes, but for the most part, it's just doing finals like this. Like this would be a second semester final.
You guys need grades right now.
Oh, he's adorable.
Is this the kind of stuff that you're gonna do when you grow up? Oh, that's awesome. So we've got another effects artist in the making over there.
Oh. All right. So yeah, don't be shy, you guys. If you want to come up to ask any questions, well, it's also kind of sort of we're gonna cheat. We're gonna keep making him answer questions too. Yeah, that's true. It's got to be so. Well, can you speak to that a little bit? I mean, it's got to be kind of a process to not only create the creature or the work or the monster, as it were, but also become that person. What do you find is like the most difficult thing about getting into character? Like, I gotta say, having met you, you're an astoundingly nice guy. How are you going to be Dr. Satan?
I mean, I never planned on being an actor at all in my life. I always liked the idea of wearing monster suits or being a monster, and so it's a lot easier to do when nobody's really looking at you. You know, when you're underneath something, it's a lot easier to come out of that, you know, and really perform. But a lot of times things go by so fast, and a lot of times the monster's like the last thing they're really worried about. You know, looks, yes, and so a lot of my scenes I go in and I'll be there for a day or maybe two, and just blast through it so fast. You really have time to think about it sometimes. Like Dr. Satan was one of the quickest things I'd ever done. I did maybe 3 days on set, and Rob kind of peeked in, and he was doing, you know, 2 or 3 scene setups at once to finish that movie, and he kind of popped in and was like, "Looks great," and we did our thing, and it was over before we did it.
Now, when you're sitting in the studio, and you're tasked with creating something like Dr. Satan, do you kind of like put a narrative to it in your own head and create that character, or are you just like, I'm going to create this monster and whatever comes of it, comes of it?
Yeah, I can't say that I ever created a monster. I mean, I work in the shops, and I run foam latex and silicone pieces, and do other things in effects, but it's very departmentalized. But when I first started in the early 90s, there was a lot more chance that if you were at a shop, you could take an effect from the beginning all the way through and do it yourself. And end up on set using layers, a puppet, or some kind of, you know, blood gag or something. Seems a lot more departmentalized nowadays, so I pretty much stayed in the foam room. I ran this stuff at Legacy, and you know, we run silicone and foam. But you got your mold department, your casting department, your art department. So it's, you know, very sectional. It really takes anything from the beginning to the end. Yeah. Everyone has to play a part in it.
So do you not really have a conceptualized final product in front of you until you're like on set, let's say, with something like Dr. Satan?
Well, that's different. That's Wayne Toth did all the makeups for Rob. He still does. He does all of his stage stuff, his mic stands, all the stuff in his stage shows, and all his videos and all his movies. And so with Rob, he had a concept for it and a sketch, and then he sort of let Wayne, who's the makeup artist, take it from there and bring it more into, you know, a realistic looking thing. The main makeup artist, whoever's the lead.
We're gonna let them do a little bit more of their process. Oh, do we have a question? We have a question.
I don't know if Walt is able to answer right now, but I was just curious, I know you said this is an abbreviated process. What was the time frame of makeup application when he actually did Dr. Satan for the movie, as opposed to obviously the abbreviated version we're seeing now?
Yeah, he's about 4 or 5 hours. So you could sit there all morning. Usually, if I'm playing a creature, I come in before the rest of the crew, and usually they're out after they've all gone. Because you have the removal too, which could be up to a couple hours. Now they've tacked this face on, but if it was for a film, it would be glued everywhere, so it would really be stuck, you know, really well. And but yeah, anywhere from 4 to 6 hours usually typical makeup. And
instead of doing sponging, they would airbrush to model the body. And most makeup artists will never finish doing that. They'll do that until cows come home. Usually they get called, go get it to set, They're usually never satisfied or finished with the makeup that I've seen for most makeup artists.
So I have a question about once you're in character, and I wish I had a more eloquent way to kind of ask this question, but do you ahead of time think, okay, I'm gonna go, and rah rah, or is that something that the director kind of tells you to do, or do you feel like once you're in that suit, you're like, all right, I know exactly how this guy's gonna move and what it's gonna be? I mean, you've done a lot of work in costume, right? So, or in creature.
It sort of comes as I'm getting made up, and I think more about it as I'm getting made up. A lot of my stuff, if it's sort of like an animal type, like Demon Knight, Dust Till Dawn, where they're more like animal creatures, I think of them. So I really think in terms of how animals move, cats and dogs, and just, try to make more like you're an animal. With something like this, it just kind of comes, as the process is happening. And then I look in the mirror and then play around with the face on my own in the trailer a little bit. And usually they like what I'm doing, so I'm lucky so far.
So if you don't mind, ladies, I'm just going to kind of ask to check in with you and have you describe some of what you're doing at this particular moment.
Yeah, we're all just kind of going in and doing our own thing. Kennedy right now is doing a little bit of splatter paint. So what that does is that creates like a breakup. If you ever look at skin color, you'll notice that it's not all one color. Whether or not you have freckles, if you look really closely, it's all kind of like splattery. And then what I'm doing is just going in and matching up some of the modeling that was done on the piece when we pre-painted it, and to match the bald cap and his flesh to the piece itself. And then Brooke is just going in and kind of straightening it out a little bit, because we noticed that it was a little crooked and we don't want him to be blind.
How is vision in there?
I can see pretty good. It's not good down yet, so once it's all tacked down in my eyes, I can see much better.
Okay. Have you worked in costumes where, or in effects where you couldn't see? Like, I can't even imagine how difficult it is. So what, in those moments, can you tell us a little bit about what that's like?
Well, when I wear suits for Howard Berger for KMB, I could almost guarantee I was going to be blind and not be able to see where I'm going. One example is in Fair-Haired Child, Masters of Horror, had a big giant head on, and I couldn't see at all out of it. And the director, of course, in one scene, I chased this girl around this basement area, and so I had to come through a door, down some stairs, look for her along this, hallway, make my way over to a boiler, and open that and stick the head in there. So that's quite a long path to not see. So I would end up pacing it out just blindly, and have to count paces and just sort of get body memory and do it a couple, 3 times, and then just really focus and hit those marks blind. Sometimes it works, sometimes, I wind up crashing into a wall. But that's most of the hardest thing, is to be blind. And then the director expects you to do all this stuff, and I can't see, They also forget you're even a human after a while. They get so used to you being on set, you kind of look at it as a prop sometimes.
We have another audience question.
We do. You can ask your question, but I know that they have to work on his chin right now. So if it is a question, give us just. I want to let them be able to work on him without us forcing him to.
But stay
talk.
close. Well, as soon as we're able.
Just take your time.
Yeah, thanks. Hang out with us.
Yeah. So now, what are you using to blend out the edges? Because it got a little rolled up. Just alcohol is all you need to do, and it thins it out.
Different materials will take different things to blend it out. Because this is foam latex, just alcohol will blend it out really, really nicely. And then also because we're using Crozade, and it's an alcohol-based adhesive, it will reactivate the glue as well. So like right now, there's a little bit of a wrinkle here. I can get back under there, reactivate it, and just move it back out. I mean, I'm sure that's way too far away for anybody to see, but.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I feel bad for you guys, because I'm like up in the mix right now, and I'm like, this is so freaking cool, and I feel real bad that you guys can't see.
Right now, I'm just going in with like water-based white paint and just going around to make it look like his skin's all, like, you can see the purple still, but you don't want to cover it up too much with the white.
Checking to see if we're done with 10. So we can get back to our Q&A. Kind of, I think I'll take it, kind of. You want to go ahead and ask?
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah. I was just curious, how is the mobility for the makeup? Like, is it restrictive at all? Is there some things where like you feel like, hey, I want to do more expression, but you're afraid, you know, it might pop off or tear or something like that?
No, it's so light and soft that no, I never worried about that really at all. That's the whole point of having it so light and really thin also, the pieces. Now foam, in makeups nowadays, foam's not used all that much. Most of the things we do at Legacy, they're all silicone appliances. It moves more naturally, more like skin, and you can also adjust the softness of it much more than you can foam latex. Foam you whip up in a mixer, and you can take it from a dense volume to the fluffier, the higher you rise it, the softer it gets, and the more air is whipped into it. And the silicone, you have additives that can make it really gooey, or you can have it really stiff, so you've got a lot more leeway. And it just moves a lot more like real flesh. So foam is used a lot more for, I do it more, if there's a monster suit, like a full head to toe suit, we'll do foam. You can't do that with silicone, it's just too heavy. And if it's a really big head or makeup, we'll use foam just because of the weight of silicone. But that's pretty much the standard now, silicone. If you see an old age makeup or a fat makeup or something in a film, yeah, it's always silicone nowadays.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're gonna let them working on the eyes. Now, is this the part where you guys are gonna be gluing down? You're gonna go start gluing down around under his eyes. So because we have the vantage point, what I'm gonna do is take a bunch of pictures and we'll make sure that the pictures go up on the Creature Feature Facebook page, so you guys can actually see all the cool stuff that you can see right now.
Do we have any other questions or anything from our audience while they're working? We don't want to get in their way too much, so we're trying to just kind of help narrate this thing. So tell me a little bit about what we get. After the glue, what comes next? To paint.
So, with foam and with latex, foam because it's so porous and latex because it's basically rubber, you can't just paint on top of it because it'll crack and flake off with a regular acrylic paint. So we use what's called Pax paint, which is basically 1/2 Prozade and 1/2 acrylic, and the Prozade helps it stick to the latex, so it doesn't just come off, it'll actually stick. And then once you have that layer sealed in, you can just go back on top of it with regular latex. So, and like if you have a foam prosthetic, you have to put down a layer of just plain Prozade first, otherwise it'll stick right into the foam.
That was another fixed invention. Of course, created most of the processes we still use, and Dick came up with almost all of it.
it's pretty much a job where you have to get dirty, sticky. So yeah, she's covered in something. Now, what I can do is keep working, and if you want to just answer, just so you guys can keep working, I can relay. Is there a favorite application that you have? Is it, is it the painting part? Is it, maybe making a wound with latex? Is there a favorite that you've come across in your schooling that you really love doing?
I don't know. Sculpting is fun, just because you have this creation and you can just make it come to life. Applying it's kind of a pain, but once you see the finished product, you're like, yes. Yeah. But not even necessarily like a character makeup, but just a part of the schooling that I've liked a lot so far is we've been making eyeballs. So that's fun.
Keep working with the microphone to you, because you guys have
Like my favorite thing that I'm doing right now, or like my favorite thing
and just
to
in
apply?
general, like that you've learned in school, like if you've got a favorite application.
Well, like we learned hair like 2 semesters ago or something like that. It's not like anything like that. It's just like my favorite thing that I've done. In the beginning, I was like, I hate this, because like ventilating hair, you have to take one piece of hair, tiny little thing, strand of hair, and tie it around a tiny little knot, and it was awful. But then I got the hang of doing it, and now I love it, and that's like now my favorite thing to do, even though we don't do it anymore. But like I do enjoy doing like putting prosthetics on. I did it once with her, and I enjoyed it. And we're doing another one. It's a multi-piece prosthetic now, and I'm excited to learn how to do that. Yeah.
Me? So when I was in school, I really liked mold making. I really liked to tap fiberglass and run foam. I mean, I could run foam all day, but I'm also pretty sure that I'm getting high off the fumes too.
So real quick, because I just do not, tell me what run foam, like explain that to me. I'm sorry, I'm like a layman here.
It's essentially making a foam latex piece. So you'll combine all of the ingredients together and you mix them in a big mixer. It's very much like baking. Yeah. Yeah, then you pour it in your mold, you inject it in your mold, and then you make these pieces.
Would a window cracked, right? I mean, it sounds like it would be.
So we now know why like half the monsters come out looking like they do, because pretty much all the artists are just pretty much high on fumes. We can take this off with gasoline.
So speaking to which, tell me how since you guys have been, how the whole process has evolved since you've been teaching and a student, what's new, what's the future, how are we, we have some questions too. So, like, what have you seen as someone who's been doing this for some time? I mean, well, obviously you are the person but hopefully I'm not gonna mess with the gluing, but I do want to hear from you at some point on that too.
No, definitely, like, there's been a shift from foam latex to more silicone. And when I was in school, they didn't have what's called transfers, and now they do. And when I was first there, it was like the only person who knew about them was Christian Tinsley, who created them, and he wasn't telling anybody how to do it. And now everybody knows how to do it, and he sells them. And they're just basically like the lick 'em and stick 'em tattoos type of deal.
Yeah, those are actually for sale, like in all the Halloween stores. Yeah.
And is that a good thing, or I mean, are we like? Is it like a magician where you're like, I'm not going to tell anybody my secrets because I want to be the best? Or is it like we share what we know and we teach others?
It used to be that way.
Okay. And that's probably not the best way to be, or?
Oh, I think they should share, yeah. I mean, back in the day, in the 80s, when it was Rick Baker and, Dick Smith, I mean, he taught all those younger guys everything. He let them know all about bladders and everything, and he came up with all that stuff. So those original, 80s guys, they used to share all this stuff. Rob Bottin would be sharing with Rick Baker on 2 werewolf movies they're making at the same time. Anymore, maybe not. But with those transfers, we do a lot of transfers too. So we'll do silicone makeups, foam makeups, transfers, and that's basically the same glue they're using to glue this down, Frozade, and it gets mixed up in a mixer for days actually until it gets really, really thick. And And that's used all the time.
But I mean, like any good artist, though, you definitely have your tricks of the trade that you keep kind of close to yourself, right? I mean, that's what makes us art.
People try. But you also have, I mean, all the shop people, they move from, because everyone doesn't work at one shop all the time. When they're in production, they work, if and when the shops get shows. So people are always moving around with different shops. Yeah, like and share, yeah.
All right, we do have some questions. I'm going to go over to our audience members. Thank you.
Hi guys, my question is basically for everyone up there. What is your favorite movie solely based on special effects?
Awesome question. Let me.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
They're
who
all
wants to
looking
start?
at that. That's a different. All right, so wait, real quick, since you're there, I'm going to put you on the spot. What's your answer to that?
Probably either the Thing or the first half right of the movie.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good choices.
Yeah.
All right, who's ready? Well, you got an answer.
The Thing.
Oh, we have another The Thing. Yeah. The Thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Audience, anybody? Effects in movies? Favorites? Yell them out.
Demon Knight.
Right, Demon Knight, man. That's what's up. I agree. Raiders of the Lost Ark, I heard somewhere.
Melting face.
Yeah, the melting face scene is wicked.
Yeah, that scared me.
House of the Horses and Devil's Rejects.
Oh, right.
Specifically Devil's Rejects.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
That one in cutting off his face, putting it on her face, and I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. Yeah, those films are.
She's like, I can't. It's too much. Okay. Okay. Yeah, no, everybody's got to start somewhere. There ain't no shame in that. So trust me, like running a horror podcast, and there's plenty that I haven't seen. So I'm like, I'll learn that. That's new.
All right. We'll only judge a little. Don't worry that you haven't seen these movies. So real quick. What? That's fair. Yeah, and you should. You're a boss. So real quick, who wins in a fight? Dr. Satan or the Demon Knight Demons?
Demon Knight Demons. I'm throwing down for the Demon Knight Demons.
I'm not gonna down.
You think Dr. Satan's gonna take over the Demon Knight Demons?
Absolutely. Well, I think Walt's the one who's gonna answer this definitively for us.
What is that at?
Who's gonna win in a fight? Dr. Satan or the Demon Knight Demon?
I'm sure the demons will win.
Alright.
They can't move.
Yeah, he's pretty stationary, and they're really badass.
He's
So.
got that dude that comes out and like does his dirty work too. Don't forget.
Yeah,
Just say.
you know.
All right, Chucky.
For sake of prosthetics, out of any movie I've seen that has like full body style, like Shape of Water and Legend, how complex would you actually put those? Like for Lord of Darkness and the fish guy from Shape of Water, and maybe Abe even.
Were you asking how complicated they are?
Yeah, because
Shape of Water we did in Legacy, and that was pretty fun because we were doing a foam latex suit, which we don't do that often, and it was kind of a mixture of foam, which we did really dense because he had to be in water. And originally they were going to do the silicone head, and Del Toro did he likes foam latex. He likes to shoot. He likes the opaqueness of it or how it lights or something. But he really doesn't like silicone much. So then it was in my department, so I ran all the foam for those faces. We did the suits, which I think they only had 4 suits in that. And we also did silicone fins, but then were adhered to it. Some of the fins were latex, which we, in the mold, we fill with a real base latex of a different color, and then we put our skins in and then run the whole suit. He had servos for his gills, and the eyes were stagnant because they were always going to just CGI the eyes for the blinks. And I really love that movie because it was a lot. Almost every scene is practical. There's a few digital things in it, like when he screams and his face really flips open, he's attacking the cats. But it was really nice to see just another old-fashioned creature of the Black Lagoon, fish guy. It was quite fun to work on. And I liked the movie a lot too.
I was saying about Legends as well. Was there anything for that one?
I'm sorry?
Legend, 1985, had Tim Curry, Tom Cruise.
What's
Legend.
She's asking that movie. The movie Legend with Tim Curry.
Oh yeah, I mean I wasn't even in the industry at that point, but I don't know. It was pretty complicated. He had stilts on. He had a big headpiece, which scarred him for life, I guess.
And I also heard
Those
you
giant
had
marks.
scars from peeling the latex off after claustrophobia.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to just pull it off. I've done that when I'm, 16 hours later and I'm sick of being in the thing, and that's your face up pretty good. Yeah, so you just want to wait until they can take it off with a nice piece.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. We only have a few more minutes left, so we're at the point where it looks like we're about to do hair, right? Can you tell us a little bit about this process? You're braiding Dr. Saint's hair? Unbraiding.
Yeah, right now I think, not sure what you want me to apply it with. I'm just gonna
Cut it down, right?
Cut it like a decent length and just stick it in like random places.
Is it harder to work with this kind? Like, is there any hair that is better? Like, do you always use fake hair, I guess would be? Is this real hair? What is this? It's all,
yeah, we use them in our hair and beard spots. Yeah, we get
It's from the Sassy collection, in case anybody's curious. Dr. Saint is sassy. All right, well, if we have no more questions, we're going to remind everybody. So we're hoping that by 6:30, Dr. Satan will be all ready to go for pictures and all kinds of other fun stuff. He'll be slowly, I don't even know what you do. Would you describe it as walking, slowly ambling back towards the main area for pictures in just a little bit? I'm actually going to encourage everybody, if you want to come up and kind of take a closer peek and look at the process, we welcome everybody to come up here. I feel like it's kind of hard to see just how amazing this all is. So please feel free to come down and look from down here. And you're so welcome to talk to us or ask any questions if you didn't want to come up to the microphone. And in the meantime, we're going to let the ladies do their thing. And thank everybody. I know a lot of you guys have kind of been with us all afternoon. We have one more panel coming up. Frankenhooker, which thankfully you're done with us. You don't have to put up with us anymore because the Hard Movie Night Boys are going to be coming in to do the Frankenhooker. That sounded weird. I didn't mean it. Who doesn't want to do the Frankenhooker? The night is young. But they're going to do the Frankenhooker panel, I should say. And we thank you all so much. Remember, we are the Jersey Ghouls. Please feel free to check us out. We have a podcast production company, all kinds of great stuff. And we have been absolutely honored to have such an awesome group of people hanging out with us all day. So thank you so much to Walt and the staff of the Tom Savini School, as well as Douglas. You guys want to do any plugging of the school or anything real quick for us?
I mean, just follow us on social media.
Yeah. Doug? That was a lot of letters. Go ahead.
DEC.edu, and then Douglas Education Center for all of the other social media.
Awesome. And Walt, thank you so much. Is there anywhere we should be following you? Oh no, I was going to stop you once.
But yeah, I like Facebook and Instagram, all that stuff.
Make sure to check it out, give everybody a like and a follow, and thank you so much, everybody. Let's give them all a round of applause for all their hard work. Please come up, feel free, come up, take pictures, say hi to everybody.